Now, today we are discussing about the social work research, its meaning and scope. So, to begin with, uh, first we have to understand what is research. Research is an organized and systematic way of finding answers to questions, and it is systematic because there is a definite set of procedures and steps which you will follow during the course of your research work. So there are certain things in the research process which are always done in order to get the most accurate results, and organized in that there is a structure or method in going about doing research. So it is a planned procedure, not a spontaneous one. It is focused and limited to a specific scope. So is the in the end of all research, whether it is the answer to a hypothesis or even a simple question, research is successful when we find answers. So sometimes the answer is no, but it is still an answer. We have to justify it, we have to prove it. And the questions are central to research basically. If there is no question, then the answer is of no use. So, research is focused on relevant, useful, and important questions. Without a question, research has no focus, so drive, or purpose. Research basically is a collection of methods and methodologies that researchers apply systematically to produce systematically scientifically based knowledge about the social world. Research must be systematic and follow a series of steps and a rigid standard protocol. These rules are broadly similar but may vary slightly between the different fields of science. What is research? When we observe certain objects or phenomena, often unaware of our biases, we do not question them, and so we attribute our observations entirely to the object or phenomena being observed. So it is in the process any study to create knowledge or aims to increase existence of knowledge, may it be through observation or by some other methods, is called research if it takes into account the biases, the errors, and the limitations also. So, as such, research may be described as systematic and critical investigation of phenomena toward increasing the stream of knowledge. Now, the meaning of social work research. In a broad sense, social work research is the application of research methods to solve problems that social workers confront in the practice of social work. So it provides information that can be taken into consideration by social workers prior to making decisions that affect their clients, programs, or agencies, such as use of alternative intervention techniques or change or modification of programs, client objectives, and so forth. So, following are the some situations which calls for application of social work research method and techniques. For example, a caseworker is interested in assessing the nature and extent of problem of her client who has been facing marital maladjustment. She may be interested in obtaining information about the actual or potential effectiveness of the client. She may also be keen to know to what extent the intervention would be effective and Similarly, a group worker wishes to assess the extent to which the technique of role play is more or less effective than discussions in increasing knowledge of drug abuse among school going children. Or a community organizer wants to know the views of the community before he takes a decision to change the program or objectives. So, because whenever we are going to do the community work, we must be flexible. We have to change the programs and objectives as and when according to the conditions a researcher face in the field. Similarly, a director of a special school for mentally retarded children wants to know whether group therapy is as effective as individual therapy in increasing adaptability of mentally retarded children. And a social work administrator is concerned about effectiveness of implementation of new programs launched. So now the purpose of social work research, as just we have discussed, the use of social work research in different fields of social work. Now we are focusing on the purpose. So as social work is a practice profession, the major purpose of social work research is to search for answers relating to interventions or practice effectiveness. So, the question which needs to be answered through social work research is what interventions or treatments really help or hinder the attainment of social work group objectives. That part, it also helps in seeking answers for surmounting the difficulties faced by the practitioners of social work in the practice of their profession. Furthermore, it provides the knowledge base for social work, for building theory, and for practice also. So, another major purpose of social work has always been to focus on assessment of practitioners' work with individuals, groups, families, communities, or appraisal of agencies or its programs which are concerned with the continued efforts of practitioners with many clients. So, the purpose of social work research may briefly be stated as to attempt to understanding through the studies to establish identity and measure the need for service. Next is to measure the services rendered as they relate to needs and to examine, measure, and evaluate the consequences of social work interventions and to assess the efficiency of specific techniques of offering services. And next is to study the methodological aspects of social work. So, social work research may be defined as the study of the relationship of social worker with their clients such as the individual group or communities on various levels of interactions or thereby as well as their natural relationships and functioning within the organizational structure of social agencies. So it may be briefly defined as systematic investigation into the problem in the field of social work. So, from the theoretical point of view, social work research re-examines the special body or knowledge, concepts, and theories. Therefore, it can be maintained that social work research is concerned with the problems encountered by professional social workers. So, social work profession has a scientific base which consists of a special body of knowledge, tested knowledge, hypothetical knowledge, and assumptive knowledge. And assumptive knowledge requires transformation into hypothetical knowledge, which in turn needs transformation into tested knowledge. Social work research has significant role in transforming the hypothetical and assumptive knowledge into tested knowledge. Not all concepts or theories that are used by professional social workers have been tested and validated. Concerted effort through social work research are very much required to conceptually articulate and validate the concepts and theories which will in turn strengthen the scientific base of professional social work. The area of social work research may be broadly categorized as studies to establish, identify, and measure the need of for service and to measure the services offered as they relate to needs and to test, gauge, and evaluate results of social work intervention and to list the efficiency of specific techniques of offering services and studies in methodology of social work. And to sum up, the scope of social work covers in all fields of life, human life, in community development, in healthcare, in child welfare, in women welfare, in youth welfare, in old age welfare and welfare of the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes groups, or even in the poverty elevation, uh, social work research plays an important role, and or handling the physical and mental disabilities or juvenile delinquency by providing effective counseling to the juveniles. And crime and correctional administration also, and management of welfare department or an organization, and in disaster management. So the list is not exhaustive, it only an exemplary list which enlists broad areas which is very frequently studied by social workers. So again, within one or more problem areas, research might focus on individual families, groups and communities, organization or broad social system. So, and the major steps in social work research that includes formulation of the research problem, review of literature, formulation of hypothesis, working out the research design, defining the universe, determining sample size, administering the tool of data collection, analyzing the data, testing of hypothesis, generalization and interpretation, and reporting and doing conclusions, and finally developing a report on the findings or the interventions. So that's all in this so meaning and scope and purpose of social work research. So thank you for listening this long presentation. Thank you all.